Joining me now is Nick Hulscher. He is the administrator of the McCullough Foundation. Nick, there's a lot of breaking news today related to these COVID shots. Turns out they are even more dangerous to the heart than initially thought. And of course, the shot was for the COVID, right? The SARS-CoV-2. And it turns out that the heart damage is far more, permanent than anything you would have gotten from if you just got the COVID, right?
Right. And this study that came out today, the first author is Nathaniel Mead. He has basically done a absolutely fantastic job spearheading this study. And this is a McCullough Foundation study. Myself, I'm on there. Dr. Peter McCullough is on there. Dr. William Mackis, Jessica Rose, many of you have heard of them. And so what we did is we collated about 340 peer-reviewed references, and we looked, does the virus cause more myocarditis? Does the vaccine cause more? Because our public health agencies have claimed that the virus causes way more severe myocarditis, and we found that's completely false. Completely false. In fact, the vaccine causes not only more myocarditis, but more severe myocarditis, even with a 10 to 20% fatality rate. And so we completely debunked the public health messaging that has been perpetuated for the past few years. It's clear the vaccines are more severe. They cause more damage than the virus itself when it comes to the heart.
Huh. And of course, this is being, I'm sure, reported by ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN, and all of them tonight, right?
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over. It's breaking news.
No one's other than a few conservative outlets are paying attention to this, are they?
Right.
Because they all got, most of those networks got government money to push the shots, didn't they?
They did, and they still do. They still do get big pharma money, so they're not going to share any of these studies, unfortunately.
Which, of course, is why this network is so necessary, and your work is so necessary. All right, let's go to another story. Two studies now confirm that the flu shots increase the risk of both flu and other infections. Okay, well, yes. I've never had a flu shot. I've never had a flu shot my whole life. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I just was always suspicious. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're guessing on the strain, right? They don't really know what strain's going to go around. So I'm like, this is just a moneymaker. But I was also worried about what, mercury or metals might be in the shot. Was that a right gut instinct on my part?
Yeah, well, clearly these two studies show that not only does the flu vaccination increase your risk of flu by 27%, and that study was by Shrestha and colleagues out of the Cleveland Clinic. Over 40,000 people were in that study. So this is a robust study, very credible. It is in preprint, but it will be published soon, most definitely. And then the other study found 340% increased risks of other viruses when you get the flu shot. And so not only are you getting more flu, you're getting more coronaviruses and more other infections. And it's just ridiculous that our public health, CDC, they had a campaign called Mild to Wild, where they're saying, you go get your flu shot, it's not going to be mild, it's going to be wild. And so it's absolutely ridiculous. But HHS actually canceled that campaign a few months ago, rightfully so. And you're right about the toxins. They're full of things that are not healthy for the body. And whenever you inject something that is what's called a pro-oxidant, it's going to induce what's called oxidative stress, and it's going to cause problems in your body. And it's just something we have to move away from.
Let's talk about this one. I know this is a totally different study, right? This one here, 85 million person study finds increased risk of stroke, heart attack, coronary artery disease, and arrhythmia following COVID-19 vaccination. That's different from the first one we talked about, right?
Yeah, this is another study. This one's absolutely shocking. And they had 85 million people. So it was a review paper that collected all of the large-scale studies that looked at cardiovascular health and had a control group. So that's what's key about this. 40 million got the shots, 40 million didn't and were served as controls or placebos, basically. And they still found these massive increased risks of stroke, heart attack, coronary artery disease, arrhythmias. And so these shots, and this should be like definitive proof that they absolutely batter your cardiovascular system. It corroborates a study last week that shows these micro scars in the myocardium after booster injections. They're absolutely cardiotoxic, and they do not belong in people's arms at this point in time. There's too much evidence. They have to get off the market as soon as possible. They should not be being given to 1 million American babies and 9 million American children.
Yet they're still being given. And where are all those people that were calling us psychotic? We suffered from psychological problems because we wouldn't wear the mask, we wouldn't get the shot. I mean, it was on national TV, national talk show hosts, actors, actresses, politicians, so-called doctors, medical so-called experts. I mean, it was nonstop. You know, if you did not get the shot, you have to be probably one of the most free-thinking, independent, courage of your convictions kind of people, right? Because there was a lot of pressure, even at, Protestant, evangelical, Bible-believing churches. They were pushing it. So-called ministries were pushing it. We found out later some of them were getting money. They're NGOs, and they were getting money, some of them. But even little old ladies at your church would walk up to friends of mine and say, "Have you had your shot? Have you had your shot? Well, don't get close to me. Don't get close to me if you haven't had your shot." And friends of mine would go to the church, and that's how they'd be greeted. And they're like, "I don't know if we want to go back anymore. I think we might be done with this thing." Really? That's how brainwashed. Now, these were Bible-teaching churches. I know one of the churches is in my town, and it's a Bible-teaching church. And the older people were bullying other people in their own age demographic. I know one guy in town who's a pastor. He got the shot. He didn't want to. A lot of his family members didn't get it. They're like, nah. He got it. You know why? He said the older people in his church kept saying, "Pastor, did you get the shot? Did you get the shot? Did you get the shot?" They didn't want him around them if he didn't get the shot. So the pressure that came from the media, actors, actresses, politicians, medical experts, but family members, oh, you can't come to holiday. You can't come to Christmas. You can't come to Thanksgiving. You can't see your grandchild, right? But then you go to church. You go to what is supposed to be a conservative Bible-teaching church, and these people have bought it hook, line, and sinker and drank the Kool-Aid. So for those who didn't get the shot, that is a really independent, strong person. We need to find out all the people that didn't take the shot, and those people are the ones we should be, I think, consulting with and asking to lead and have positions in our community and states, because they show a fortitude and a clearness of mind that we need in local, state, and federal governments.
Wow, you put that absolutely beautifully, because you're right. People who refuse them, less than 20% of Americans that did refuse them, they had to face one of the most intensive segregation campaigns since we segregated against black people. I mean, that's what happened these past 5 years. Yep. And so they would just label you as a conspiracy theorist, as an endangerment to public health. You'd be fired from your job. Your friends would not talk to you anymore. And you were just outcasted. And myself, I didn't get the shot, thankfully. I even went to University of Michigan, one of the most blue campuses you could think of. And I still didn't get the shot, because I didn't want to get the shot. And I did everything I could to not get it. And so this has to be a lesson for people who regret getting the shot going forward. When they release the next self-amplifying replicon shots, don't take them. If they mandate them, don't take them. Because if everybody doesn't comply the next time, they're not going to get away with mandating it this time.
Yeah, indeed. Let's go to this one. The biopharmaceutical complex is real. Well, that kind of fits in. This is a great segue, because this is who was involved in all of it. Tell me about it.
Yes, and as you can see in that figure there, I mean, you can see just how large this complex is and how much power they exert. And, it starts at the top with the international organizations, these NGOs, including the Gates Foundation, SAPI, Gavi, World Health Organization, World Economic Forum. We've all heard of them. They have the money. They're funding these things. They're funding the countermeasures, the vaccines. They're even funding the biolabs. And then we have public health authorities there on the right. We know they're compromised, obviously, from the past 5 years. They rubber stamp anything that gets put in front of their desk, including novel genetic injections that were barely tested in humans. And in fact, in booster shots, they never test them in humans before rollout. And so we got the rubber stampers there. Then we have government and biodefense there on the bottom. They're playing an instrumental role, especially BARDA. BARDA was instrumental in funding a lot of these genetic countermeasures and in the development of them, as well as ARPA-H. And then we have all these governments there across the world that allowed this to perpetuate and implement lockdowns and mandates. And then we have pharmaceutical corporations to top it all off, which are obviously, as we all know, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, all these organizations that have developed these mRNA shots. And now, as you can see there, a new addition is Arcturus Therapeutics. They make self-amplifying replicon injections. And so they make up that part. And all together, they make up this global syndicate that makes countermeasures, and they make the biological threats. So they have the virus and the vaccine, and then they release it out onto the world. Absolutely terrible. They have to be dismantled.
Indeed. All right, let's go to another one. Fluoride. I mean, this just keeps coming up and coming up. The dangers of fluoride. I don't know where it is in your feed today, but I was going through your feed to see what you're talking about. Here it is right here. Fluoride is highly toxic and not essential for any biological function. It lowers IQ and fails to prevent tooth decay. The industrial waste used to fluoride water can burn through concrete, yet we put it in our water. We offer a water purifier here. If you go to worldviewwater.net, worldviewwater.net, I have one in my home, an under the sink filter, and that's the water I drink. That's the water that, we give our beloved Dolly. I mean, obviously you believe this, you posted it. So when we offer this kind of product to our audience that takes out the fluoride and all these other toxins, I know you're an epidemiologist, so I don't want to go too far here with putting you on the spot, but I mean, is this the kind of thing we should be doing until they get this out of our water, right? Is filtering this?
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. We need purified water. We do not want water contaminated with any of those things listed on the screen. I mean, all of these things are highly toxic to humans. They got to get out of our water supply. And yeah, water filters are absolutely essential.
And why did they begin doing the fluoride? Did they really think it prevented tooth decay, or was it just like so many things, just another money-making scheme?
I think it was one of those money-making schemes back in, I believe, the 40s and 50s. There was all these conflicts of interests with the sugar industry trying to blame tooth decay on something else and said, oh, look, it's because nobody's getting fluoride. And so there's a whole history behind it that's clearly corrupted. And it should have never been installed in the first place. They should not be putting hydrofluorosilicic acid, which literally burns through concrete in its undiluted form, into our water supply. It's absolutely toxic. Doesn't belong there. Doesn't belong in the human body. It's in groundwater in natural levels, but we don't want to add this artificial version that's very dangerous.
I think there used to be fluoride tablets for children. It'd be a little packaging. I think that was when I was a kid. I remember people would. I didn't know. My mom didn't give me those particularly to me at all. But I remember somebody having these little pinkish looking tablets, and this kind of wrapper like candy comes in, and I thought it was candy. And it was fluoride tablets. I mean, now I'm 56 this month, so you probably don't remember that kind of thing. But at one time, they were passing out some kind of tablets to children, like candy, fluoride tablets.
Well, I mean, that goes to show just how much things change over time. Because to me, that sounds absolutely shocking. Like I can't even believe that. But I guess it's like the same thing as injecting mRNA shots into 6-month-olds. So I guess we haven't evolved too much since then. But.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? All right, you can find all of his great work over here on his website. Let me find it here, guys, real quick. I opened it up. I know I have it here. Let's see. Why don't you tell us what it is while I look for it?
Yeah, you can follow my X account at NIC Hulscher, and you can also follow the McCullough Foundation X account at McCullough Fund, F-U-N-D. And also, please go check out our Substack called Focal Points, thefocalpoints.com.
There it is. There it all is right there. Follow him on all of these platforms. And it's been a few days since we've had you on, so it's good to have you back. Thank you as always, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
Follow him, folks, right here on his X account. And you can keep up with all these stories when you follow him on X, as well as Dr. McCullough, as well as thefocalpoints.com.